I think enough students have joined. So, good morning, everyone. Today we will start. Please, everyone, stay muted. Don't unmute yourself unless you are asked. I think it's clear. Last video which I have shared, it was clear to you all. Now, without any delay, today I will start with operating systems securities protection mechanism. What is protection and what do you mean by protection? Since you need to guard your operating system from malware attack, from virus, there are different kinds of threats. So protection and security requires that computer resources such as CPU, software, memory, etc. are protected. This extends to the operating system as well as the data in the system. So this can be done by ensuring integrity, confidentiality, and availability in the operating system. The system must be protected against different kinds of unauthorized access, like virus worms. Can anybody answer me? What is the meaning of unauthorized access? What do you mean by accessing the operating system? What is that? Or we can say that what is unauthorized access of operating system? Can anyone explain? Akash Saha, roll number 11. I'm unmuting you. Akash Saha, ekটু বলো তো, what is the meaning of unauthorized access? বলো আকাশ, শুনতে পাচ্ছ তো আমার কথা? আকাশ সাহা, বলো।
Yes, ma'am.
বল, what do you mean by unauthorized access? বলো, কি হলো? চুপ হয়ে গেল কেন? মিউটেড হয়ে গেল কেন? Why have you muted yourselves? বলো কিছু, আনমিউট হচ্ছে আবার মিউট হয়ে যাচ্ছে, বলো কি হলো, অসুবিধা বলো। আকাশ সাহা,
unauthorized access মানে it can be used by the other users, but
after that, but I couldn't listen. Moithili Dattagupta, what do you mean by unauthorized access? What is the meaning of unauthorized access? Roll number 21. Speak up. I'm asking to unmute yourself. Not getting answer from roll 21. Moithili Dattagupta. Roll number 2. Nagonita Bera. Bolo. What is the meaning of unauthorized access?
Unauthorized access is someone gain to access website, program, server, service or other system.
Yes, but actually suppose you are attending classes from your mobile or from operating system or from desktop, laptop, anything. So if your machine gets corrupted, then what will happen? You will not be able to work properly. Also, it can happen that you have opened one file, a confidential file, and somehow I am able to get access of your file. Definitely, as a user, you don't want anybody's access unless and until you have given the permission, right, Namanita? So that is called unauthorized access. Thank you for the answer.
Okay.
Please, I will request everyone to stay active in the class. It is essential to participate in the class. Mere attending the class is not enough. If you have doubts, you can ask. If I ask you questions, then also you can answer. Please try to be active. So we say that what are the threats to protection and security? Threat is a program that is malicious in nature and leads to harmful effect for the system. Some of the common threats that occur in the systems are virus. What is virus? Does anyone have any idea regarding virus? Anyone can give me definition of virus? What is virus? Shreya, they roll number 33. Can you answer? What is the meaning of virus? What do you understand by virus?
Virus which মানে ম্যাম বাংলায় বলবো
বলো বলো
মানে যেটা আমরা কোনো কিছু প্রোগ্রাম করব বা কোনো কোড করব যেটা সেটাকে হ্যাম্পার করে ব্যাডলি বা ডিস্ট্রয় করে দেয় সেটা
Okay. Any other definition from anyone?
ম্যাম বলবো?
বলো।
Virus are ma'am, malicious code that can harm the files or the program that you are used to.
Good. Anyone else who want to say anything apart from this definition? Is there anyone else who want to say anything else apart from this definition? So no answers. Bol hai bol.
Badly by computing or destroying them.
Good. If I actually you can define the virus in several ways. Actually, viruses are generally small snippets of code embedded in a system. They are very dangerous and can corrupt files, destroy data, crash systems, etc. They can also spread further by replicating themselves as required. That means, how does virus harm the machine? They simply replicate themselves so that there is a crash in system and there is malfunctioning in the system. Okay. Next is, I don't know any one of you have heard or not, it is also a kind of security threat. It is known as trapdoor. Does anyone have any idea what is trapdoor? What is trapdoor? Anyone have any idea? It is also a kind of security breach. Security breach means the system is not secured and there are unauthorized access to the system. So can anybody tell me what is trapdoor? Anyone who want to attempt?
It is a secret entry point.
Yes, it is one kind of secret entry point which the authorized user is unaware of. Actually, a trapdoor is a security breach. We can say that it is always present in the system without the user, the authorized user don't have any idea that there is a security breach, there is a security loophole in the system, and it can be exploited to harm the data or files in a system by malicious people. Malicious people mean someone who is having whose intentions are not proper. Okay. So now I think I have explained what is trapdoor. Now there is another kind of security threat, that is worm. What do you mean by worm? Anyone? If have any idea, please answer. Try to interact in the class. Don't stay silent. All of you, please try to interact in the class.
Ma'am, worms are the infections which get inside the computer and damage it.
Does worm replicate itself like viruses?
Worm boots a computer, reboot and cool boot constant.
Yes, that is
From
both,
how much
but
I know, maybe it kind of.
kind of, yes. You're right. Worm can destroy a system by using its resources to extreme levels. Actually, it can generate several copies which claim that all resources and don't allow any other processes to access them. That means all the resources that are available with the system, they claim all the resources. They get hold of all the resources so that the other processes keep on waiting for that resource. Since they keep on waiting for the resource, so also none of the processes execute itself successfully. A worm can shut down a whole network in this way because they will keep hold of all the resources, so the network will stop working. Next type of threat or security attack is denial of service. What is that? Denial of service. It is significant with the name also. You can
Yes,
list.
ma'am. Whenever we try to access any application, it says error while executing it.
That means you cannot access it properly. Whatever may be the error, but you are unable
Yes,
to
ma'am.
access the system. That is denial. You're not getting service which you are supposed to get. So these types of attacks don't allow the legitimate users to access the system. Actually, it overwhelms the system with request. Overwhelms means the system cannot allocate the resources to the legitimate users because some unauthorized people who have malicious intention has already got hold of all the resources and with requests, and it cannot work properly for other users simply keep on waiting. Now these were some kind of, there are several types of threat, but these are mainly, these threats are identified. Of course, if you consult web, you will find out there are several more type of threats also. Now, there are several protection and security methods. What are those methods? We can say that the different method that we provide protect and security for different computer systems. One is authentication. What is the meaning of authentication? I think every one of you know the basic idea, the basic concept of authentication. Yes. Tell me, what is the basic idea or the definition of authentication? What do you mean by authentication? Does anyone have any idea?
This to recognize the user identity.
Recognize the user identity. Yes. Suraj, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, to prove something right, the action or the process we do to prove something correct or verify it, that is the authentication process.
Yes. Like whenever you are logging into your Gmail, you are giving login and password so that you get message authentication, whether you are the authenticated user or not. It checks, and only then if it finds that there is no problem, then only you can log in. Also, there is one more security feature that even if you are logging in from a different device, then also it gives, maybe it generates code, it sends messages that there's a login from an unknown device, do you want to continue, like that. So that is also a part of authentication mechanism. Actually, authentication deals with identifying each users in the system and making sure they are who they claim to be. The operating system makes sure that all users are authenticated before they access the system. The different ways to make sure that the users are authentic or not, whether the users are authentic users or not, you can do it with the help of username or password. Each user has a direct username and password combination, and they need to enter it correctly before they can access the system. User key, user have to punch a card into the card slot, like whenever you are working in a software company or something like that, there is a card that you have to punch and only then you are allowed to enter that premises. So that is also a kind of authentication mechanism. The user needs to punch a card into the card slot, or users have their individual key on a keypad to access the system. Next is user attribute authentication. User attribute authentication, what is that? I don't think any one of you have any idea. User attribute authentication is related, or it can be explained as different user attribute authentications. They can use either fingerprint or eye retina. Even in your mobiles these days, mobile they have their fingerprint access. Authorized users are allowed to enter the system, or allowed to enter the allowed to access the system with the help of fingerprint, even some of them through eye retina. I think all of you have heard about it, isn't it? Not getting answers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. These are
Yes, ma'am.
these are unique for each users. For each users, fingerprint, eye retina, they are vary and are compared with the existing samples in the database. The user can only access the system if there's a match. That means whenever you give your fingerprint to your mobile phone, what it does, that it matches your fingerprint which is entered with the fingerprint that is present in their database. And if the two matches, then you are able to enter in the system, else not. Okay. Now, one-time password or OTP. I think at this point of time, everyone during this pandemic period, everyone must have done online transaction like your fees, paying your semester fees, your exam fees in Macau portal. So everyone have idea about one-time password. What is one-time password or OTP? What's that? Anyone?
Ma'am, the password which is used for only one time uh,
Like
cannot be used for further.
can you give some example where you have used ATP or where you have heard that there's a use of
Ma'am,
ATP?
for verification, ma'am, for verification purpose.
Yes, that is correct. But can you or anyone give me an example?
Ma'am, during online payments, whenever we pay
During
money,
During
the bank
online
statement.
transaction,
Yes. When you have paid your fees in Macau portal exam fees, did they ask to enter some OTP or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
yes,
everyone
ma'am.
is aware about that, about OTP.
Ma'am,
One time.
ATM card password changed when I get a password.
No, not with the ATM card. It is not one-time password. ATM card, you can set, the user can set the password and they can use it until they change it. But concept of OTP arises with the help of or through online transactions only. And also those password, their their validity is there only for one transaction. Except that their validity is not there. So that password remain valid only for one transaction. Is it clear? Now, I will explain
Yes,
that
ma'am.
OTP, they provide a lot of security for authentication purpose. A one-time password can be generated exclusively for a login every time a user want to enter the system. It cannot be used more than once. So the various ways a one-time password can be implemented are, there are several ways through which, or how by following that method the OTP can be implemented. One is random numbers. The system can ask for numbers that correspond to alphabets that are pre-arranged, and the combination can be changed each time a login is required. That means every time the user needs to do login, the combination of the numbers, which maybe the malicious user have thought that he knows, that will get changed with every transaction. Okay. So secret key, a hardware device can create a secret key related to the user ID for login. This key can change each time. That means the secret key keep on changing each time. Okay. Now I think I have explained. Now I want to share my screen and show you some slides. Wait. I think all of you are able to view my screen. Wait. Today we will learn about protection. So protection refers to the mechanism for controlling the access of programs, processes, or users to the resources defined by a computer system. Protection can ensure that the resources of the computer are used in a proper way. It ensures that each object is accessed correctly and only by those processes that are allowed to do so. So operating system designer faces challenge of creating a protection scheme that cannot be passed by any software and that may be created in the future. OS designer, they faces challenge of creating a protection scheme that cannot be passed by any software that may be created in the future. So that is one of the design challenges that every designer faces. Up to this, is there any doubt? No doubt, I think. Okay. These are the goals of the protection, that we need to provide protection for several reasons. One of the most obvious need is to prevent the bad intentional violation of access restriction by the authorized user. That means unauthorized access, prevention of unauthorized access is done. Also, an unprotected resource cannot defend against misuse by an unauthorized user. Why all of you are silent? If then I am getting silent, I am just giving a pause to know that whether you are able to understand. Do you want to ask any question? So is goal of protections clear to everyone? Am I alone speaking in the class? Or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So an unprotected resource cannot be defined against misuse by unauthorized user. A protection-oriented system, it provides means for distinguishing. That means there are several features that can distinguish between an authorized user and an unauthorized user. So the role of protection in a computer system is to provide a mechanism for the implementation of policies governing resource use. That means there are some policies which are pre-decided and they governs the use of resources. Also, these policies can be established in a variety of ways. Okay, like some are fixed in the design of the system, while others are formulated by management of the system. Still, others are defined by individual users to protect their own files and program. Okay, so let us move to next slide. This is the main principle of protection. That is why it is highlighted in bold. The time-tested guiding principle for protection is principle of least privilege. It dictates that the programs, users, and even systems be given the enough privileges to perform their task. What is enough privileges? That means like DB, database administrator, they give the role, or they grant the permission to different kind of users to access different types of resources or to perform different type of actions on the database. That is called providing privilege to the authorized user. So the time-tested guiding principle for protection is that the principle of least privilege. That means the user will be given the least privilege so that he cannot do harm to the system. It dictates that the programs, users, and even systems be given just enough privilege to perform their task. However, they cannot change the design of the operating system, or they cannot change the like some of the constraints or something like that. The principle of least privilege can help produce a more secure computing environment. Since least privilege is provided, so the risk becomes lower. Now, access control. What is access control? Go through the definition of access control. If you have any confusion, you can ask me. The definition of access control. Is there any doubt? No doubt?
No, ma'am, no doubt.
Good, good, good. So that is
Ma'am, every attempt means?
Wait, access control is concerned with determining the allowed activities of valid users, mediating every attempt by users to access a resource in the system. It means that whenever the user attempts to access the system, the access control mechanism acts as mediator. Mediator means something which comes in between. Like if we talk of farmers, these days the farmers are agitated, lots of agitations are going on. There are mediators which are present between farmers and between customers. What is the role of mediator? Mediator buys from farmers at low prices and they sell to the customers at very high prices. So something which comes in between. In case of operating system, whenever we are talking about access control, the mediator means the mechanisms which comes in between the user and the operating system. And the role of the mediator is to stop the user, to stop unauthorized access of the operating system. That is the concept of access control. Is it clear now?
Okay, ma'am.
Now, there are some basic terminologies like object, access right. What is the definition of an object? Object, an entity that contains or receives information. Access to an object potentially implies access to the information it contains. It can contain several information. Like example, we can say that there are files, programs, printer, disk. These are different types of examples of the object. Now, access right. What is access right? The permission which the user has granted to perform an operation. It is the example. It is read access, write access, execution access. These are different types of privileges that the administrator provides to the user. So these are the two types of terminologies: access rights and object, which these are the terminologies which are given or for access control of the system. Is it clear now? So if we represent, okay. So if we represent it diagrammatically, you find out that there's subject, then there's access request or request, then access control policy is there, which acts as guard or guarding principle. And then with the help of access control policy, the resources are granted to the user. Resources, what are the resources? Anyone have any idea about what are the resources? Look, it is given. There are two parts. One is subject, another is object. Under subject, the examples are users, processes, and object, it's files, printers. Is it okay? There are two parts. Now, domain. What is a domain? If we talk about domain, we can define domain as collection of objects and set of access rights for each of the objects. That is the definition of domain. A process which operates within a protection domain that specifies the resources that the process may access. Okay. That is protection domain. Each domain defines a set of objects and type of operations that may be invoked on each object. That is the scope of the definition, that comes under the scope of the definition of the domain. Yes, it is actually it is a set of objects as well as the different types of operations. In the previous slide, I have explained the concept of object. Can anyone tell me what is the concept of object? There were two parts, subject and object. What do you mean by object? Look, there are several things which you need to remember. It's not like that you listen and forget. Look carefully. Here, object means resources, files, printers. These are resources. And what is subject? Subject is users, processes, etc. Okay. The ability to execute an operation on an object is an access right. That is called access right. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So system, the whole system will consist of multiple domains, and each domain is given certain predefined access rights on different objects. Predefined access rights are given on various objects. So I think today I will end this class with this only. Okay. If any questions,
PPT and the group.
yes, I will send that. I will send that link. We will continue with the same topic the next day.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And if anyone have any further questions, they can ask me.